Hi everybody, this is a video overview of this knife. And this knife is the yet to be released Kershaw Induction. And this is a knife that's a collaboration between Grant and Gavin Hawk and Kershaw. It features the Hawk lock, a flipper, and as you can see here, a two-tone blade. This is a DLC coating, and this is just left as a satin, a grinder satin kind of finish. The handle is made out of aluminum with a G10 insert, and it has a pocket clip. And unfortunately, the pocket clip is only two position. I don't really care that much, but I'm sure that's something that some people care about. This is a really interesting knife because not only does it have a half and half finger choil, which is something rare on Kershaw's, but it also has this lock. And this lock is a Hawk lock. And as you can see, it looks kind of like an axis lock, but it works significantly differently. And so how this knife works, or how this lock works, is, let's see if we can get a close-up of the action. So as you pull this back, there is a pin that rides underneath it. So let's see if we can do this in slow motion. We'll open the knife up and see the pen. And the pen pushes back on this plunger, and when it passes under the plunger pops forward, and this stop pin prevents it from going the other direction. The pin is actually mounted on the blade handle, and so it works a little differently than an axis lock. In an axis lock, a bar comes across, and this is really a bar that's built into the blade but only functions on one side, and this pin works a little differently than the axis bar because it doesn't go all the way across. It has many of the benefits of an axis lock. So for example, you can close the knife without ever putting your fingers in the blade path. The other benefit that it has, unlike an axis lock, is it's entirely one-sided, so it's a little bit easier to operate. One of the points of feedback that I give Kershaw is that pen, or that plunger, is really sometimes hard to get a purchase on. It's very flat, and so if you want to get a good grab on it, you kind of have to be very focused on that. And unlike an axis lock bar where it just moves back and forth quite easily. Let's see if I can have my carry knife. This is my Benchmade 940-1. So this is not quite as low profile, but it's pretty easy to get to. You can open the knife, close the knife pretty easily. Now, if you really want to, you could do this one-handed. I mean, it's not gonna screw up your Benchmade, and it's not gonna make the deployment or the closing of the knife any less difficult. But this is intended to be one-sided, so in a way, it's a little better. But I'm not 100% sure that this mechanism is as strong as the axis lock. I guess it depends on the pin, but I also think that it might put some pressure on the pivot. I don't know. I'm not a mechanical engineer. A couple other interesting notes about this knife is that even though it has something very similar to the axis lock, and axis lock makes notoriously shitty flippers, the flipping action on this knife is really, really good. There's enough of a detent here, not only because I think the plunger is spring-loaded, but because the flipper is actually going around the pivot, and so by placing it on the far side of the pivot, it sort of has to like go over a speed bump, and that speed bump provides you with enough resistance that once you cross over it, the knife comes out almost automatically. This knife is very quick to deploy, and it reminds me of another knife that's really quick to deploy, which is this knife. This knife is also a Grant and Gavin Hawk design, and this is the Buck Marksman. And here they're using the Hawk strap lock, which I really like. I think this is a very good knife, a very good lock. It's a very unusual knife, and both of these knives are quite unusual. I think this is one of the very few collaborations with Hawk and Kai. The other one was the Mud knife, which is a ZT knife with a sealed pivot. I can't think if there are any others. There might be one other that I'm missing, but those are the main ones. There's a lanyard loop here, which is quite nice. It looks good. The aluminum is very, very light. I mean, it makes this entire knife very, very light. It's a Chinese-made knife, so it runs 8CR 13 MOV. The blade length is 3.25 inches or thereabouts, and overall it's a very good knife in hand. I liked carrying it in the pocket. The one thing that I would note is that because of the construction of the well, that's not going to be a good example. Because of the construction of the hawk lock, it is pretty thick. I mean, we're talking kind of a beefy, chunky knife where it doesn't need to be beefy or chunky. I mean, the axis lock knives are really quite slim. And so this is a little bit chunkier in the hand, and they've done a good job of putting this big, thick chamfer around it to kind of give it a three-dimensional feel. Overall, I like the knife a lot. It's an interesting addition to the Kershaw lineup. It's not another stonewashed flipper with G10. It's something a little different. The aluminum, the G10, it all comes together with the weird lock, and it makes a unique knife. And it's a good addition to the Kershaw lineup. So I'm not going to be able to do a full review. These have to go back to Kershaw, but I did want to do a video on them. I'm going to do like I did with the prototype for the Aeon Mark III. I'm just going to put my thoughts up and see how it works. But this knife and the ZT-0456 should all be going up relatively soon. So thanks for watching, and look for the overview, or look for the prototype analysis